Hey guys, so today we're going to be reviewing over some fraction operations. And this video will help prepare you for the practice that we'll do in class tomorrow. So I know that you guys have been adding and subtracting fractions since like 5th grade at least, but it is still a fundamental skill that you will need to be successful in 7th grade, which is why we're taking the time to review it. We can only add and subtract fractions if they are written with the same denominator. So the denominator represents that bottom number of the fraction. So we need to, in order to get the same denominator and finish the process, you need to rewrite them as equivalent fractions with the same denominator. So they have to have the same bottom number. So like you couldn't take that 2/3 minus 1/3 and be done because they're not the same bottom number. Then you add or subtract the numerator. The denominator stays the same since we've already changed it to make them equal, and then you simplify if possible. So here in the first example we have 2/5 minus 1/3. Well, in order to get those the same, we have to multiply them to figure out what the common factor is, or the common number between both of them. So if you don't know, if it's hard for you to think of like common factors or numbers that are the same, you can just take the two denominators and multiply them, and whatever that product is would be your common denominator. So for example, we could do this fraction, this 2/5, and multiply it by 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. And then 3 times 5 is 15. And then we would do the same thing over here, but instead of multiplying by 3, we would multiply by 5 since 5 times 3 is 15. And whatever you do to the top or the bottom number, you have to do to the top one, or else it will not go well. So 1 times 5 is 5, and then 3 times 5 is 15. And then when we subtract them, so 6 minus 5 is 1. Then remember, since we already changed the denominator in the first step, then we just keep it 15, and you can't simplify that. So the solution would be 1/15. Okay, so moving on to adding. Adding is the exact same process. You're just combining them instead of taking away, but you still need that common denominator. So again, if you can't think of a common denominator between 3 and 16, just multiply this one by 3 to get 3/48, and then do the same thing here. This one I just put in parentheses. It still needs to multiply. It was just easier than writing a little x, which you can see I'm not very good at. So then we're going to take this 1/3 and multiply the numerator and denominator by 16. So 1 times 16 is 16, and then 3 times 16 is 48. And then when we add them together, 3 plus 16 is 19 over 48. So we get 19/48. And since 19 is a prime number, that means it's only divisible by 1 and itself, and 48 is not evenly divided by 19. Our solution is 19/48. Okay, so now it's going to be y'all's turn to practice, and if you want to scroll back and watch that first part of the video again, if you're getting stuck, you're definitely more than welcome to do that. So first we're going to have you guys add and do 3/4 plus 1/10. And then you're going to check your answer and see how you did. Okay, so does your answer match mine? The reason I drew it 2 different ways is because you could have used the common denominator of 20, or you could have used the common denominator of 40 and still gotten the same answer. So for example, the first one I did on the typed one, I used the common denominator of 20. So I multiplied 3/4 by 5, and I multiplied 1/10 times 2, and then I got 15/20 plus 2/20, which is 17/20. And again, 17 is only divisible by 1 in itself, so I can't simplify it anymore. So that was the solution. Or if you didn't think of 20 and you were just used to doing the two bottom numbers, so let's say you use the common denominator of 40, then you multiplied 3/4 by 10, and you multiplied your 1/10 times 4. So you got 30/40 plus 4/40 is 34/40. Now, this one, you would have to simplify at the end, whereas the other one, if you use the smaller common denominator, then you don't have to worry about the you don't have to worry about simplifying at the end. So either way, you would still get the solution of 17/20. Okay, so again, like the addition example, this one is the same thing. So you could have either used the common denominator of 12 or of 24 and just simplified at the end. So if you did 12, you multiplied your fraction 3/4 by 3. So 3 times 3 gets you 9, and then 3 times 4 got you 12, so you had 9/12 minus, then you would multiply your 1/6 times 2, and 1 times 2 is 2, and 6 times 2 is 12, so that's how I got the 9/12 minus 2/12, and then that equals 7/12. So, and you can't simplify that one anymore, so that would just be your answer. If you didn't think that 12 was a common factor and you just did the 6 and 4 together and you did 24, that works too. So instead of multiplying your 3/4 times 3, you multiply it times 6, so it changes to 18/24. Then your 1/6 changes, you multiply that times 4 instead of 2, and then, so you get 4/24. So 18/24 minus 4/24 equals 14/24. And then you simplify at the end, which still gets you the same result as 7/12. And a trick for simplifying, if the last two digits, so like the 2 4s, for example, since these are both even, I know for a fact that they're divisible by 2. So that's a good kind of clue to say, hey, I probably could simplify. So yeah, now tomorrow in class, be prepared to talk more and practice more on adding and subtracting fractions. And feel free to come with questions. We're going to discuss, have conversations about it. But now you're ready for class tomorrow.